The Road to Maine by Danya Howard. There's something about the open road that speaks right to the soul, a whisper from God Himself that says, "Come and see what I've painted for you today." This trip was that whisper come to life, a journey stitched together with love, laughter, and the colors of autumn. 4,367 miles and 7 unforgettable days. We pulled out of Atlanta just as the sun began to fade, the road humming softly beneath the tires. Our first stop was at my daughter's, Dana's, house in Arkansas. She was waiting on the inside, waiting for us to pull in, that familiar smile lighting up her whole face, the laughter catching up, the kind of night that feels like no matter how far you've come, it was the perfect way to begin our journey. We stayed the night there, and early the next morning we went to McDonald's for breakfast before she headed off to work. That's where Popeye would leave our trail for a little while. He wagged his tail full of energy and love before setting in with Dana. He rejoined us again at the end of the journey, our little traveler taking a break while we headed further south. He so enjoyed this stay with Dana. There was no way that I would ever leave him with anyone else, and I'm so excited that he got some new toys being with Dana. He loves being there with her and spending that extra time with her. What a joy it is to know that my little man is taken care of while I am gone on this wonderful journey. God's coloring book was amazing. As we crossed into Tennessee, it was like stepping into God's coloring book. The trees looked like melted crayons, gold, scarlet, amber, and copper, brushed against the hills by the master artist himself. I remember thinking, if this is what the start looks like, that's what must lie ahead. Our very next stop was going to be one that I thoroughly enjoyed spending time with my mom and my dad. There are many times that I have thought about them while I was sitting there, but I was never able to show them, and now is the perfect time for me to show them one specific spot, and I look forward to showing it with them. The very first memorable stop after leaving Dana's was Pete's Truck Stop, one that I had visited many times in my 18-wheeler days. I had told Mom and Dad about it for years, about the little truck stop with coffee mugs covering every wall. This time they got to see it for themselves. We shared lunch there, took photos, and took in the small town charm for me. It was like letting them step into my stories. Right there, I thank God for simple moments like that. From that moment on, every mile was a gift. We rolled through 16 states: Arkansas, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, Missouri. 16 states, thousands of miles, and one family making memories that would last a lifetime. They truly enjoyed Uncle Pete's, and I was so glad to share that with them. That is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I would never have the opportunity to share with them if it hadn't been for this trip. As we traveled down the road, we got to see lots of things. We were having a great time on our trip. We were seeing barns that were out in the country, side roads that we were seeing different things, some beautiful churches, old rock churches, some that we had never thought that we would ever see, and we ran across them in the middle of nowhere. More churches along the way, and this was a beautiful barn with a water wheel in front of it. It reminded me of Christmas and the water wheels my father used to make. It was absolutely a beautiful drive, driving through the mountains and seeing some of the most incredible views that I have ever seen in my life. One of the very first stops was in Connecticut at a covered bridge. My parents had always wanted to see one, so we made sure and took some time to let them go and walk down on the bridge and spend some time there. It was absolutely beautiful. We got some great shots, and it was so enjoyable to be able to actually drive through and see the covered bridge there in Connecticut.
I don't know what kind of plant this is. It's
Our next stop was Plymouth Rock. In 1620, a small group of English settlers called Pilgrims set sail on the Mayflower, searching for a place where they could worship freely. After a long, stormy voyage, they finally spotted the land and stepped ashore what we now call Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts. Though no one wrote about the rock at the time, it later became a symbol of their brave journey and their new beginnings in America. Life was harsh. In the first winter, many pilgrims did not survive, but with the help of the Wampanoag people, they learned to plant crops and live on the land. When their first harvest came, they shared a feast of thanks, a moment that would one day inspire to be Thanksgiving. Plymouth Rock still stands as a reminder of the courage, hope, and start of a new chapter in history. Down by the harbor in Plymouth, we stood looking at the Mayflower, her sails still and proud against the gray sky. She wasn't the original ship, but standing there, you could almost feel the courage it took to cross the ocean. I thought about those who left everything behind, guided only by faith and the promise of freedom. It reminded me that bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Trust that God will guide the way. If you stand on the hill in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and let your eyes rest on the nation's monument to the forefathers, you can almost hear the whispers of history. Built in 1889, this towering 81-foot granite masterpiece honors pilgrims who landed here in 1620, men and women who sought freedom, faith, and a fresh beginning. At the top stands Faith, her hand pointing toward heaven, a Bible pressed against her heart, her foot resting on Plymouth Rock. Around her sit morality, law, education, and liberty, the virtues that shape the foundation of a new world. Each stone figure tells its own story, carved from solid granite, hauled from Maine, standing as firm as the principle it represents. They say that this is the largest solid granite monument in America, but more than that, it's a sermon in stone. When the sun sets across the harbor and the breeze moves through the pines, it feels as though time pauses. You can almost hear a quiet voice saying, "Good night, Faith. Good night, freedom. Good night, America." This is where we placed our very first rock, one of 3 painted by my sister, each with Atlanta, Texas written across it. We left a piece of home there at the base of the statue, a little symbol of gratitude and faith. Our next stop was Maine, Portland, Maine, the heart of our journey. From there we headed north. The drive along the coast was pure magic. Small towns dotted shorelines, each one like the page from a Norman Rockwell painting. We came to Kennebunkport and little seaside sound there, and the air smells salt and home. Standing on the rocks overlooking the ocean, I placed our second rock. A reminder to no matter how far you travel, you can always carry a piece of you from wherever you came. And then there were the donuts, the holy donuts, $4.75 a piece and worth every penny. We tried toasted coconut, chocolate sea salt, apple cider, and one cream-filled mystery flavor we never quite figured out. I had to wait in line for quite a long time. We split each donut 3 ways, laughing each time we ate because we couldn't stand all the sweet. Simple moments like these are holy moments, something that I will always cherish for the rest of my life. We had some amazing scenery with the large mansions on the edge of the cliffs. The sun setting like I had never seen. The clouds were like brushstrokes across the sky. This is one of the hotels there in Kennebunkport. Something that we weren't quite expecting was the Dairy Queen. It was so much smaller than ours, but it was refreshing to see a little piece of home. As we reached another port, we were able to see a fish market. This was also in Portland, Maine. We explored the fish market that had probably been there for generations. Weathered boards, salty air, fishermen calling out. It was perfect. And the food, the food there was amazing. Me and my father ate lobster risotto while Mom had fried shrimp. All the different fish inside of the fish market were obviously very fresh, still packed with ice. So many different kinds of fish and shrimp and crabs that I had no idea what it was. Beautiful red salmon, large lobsters along the way, but on the outside, a ragged place that you would never consider it to be a fish market. The beautiful flowers along this little town, the little diner we decided to eat at that day. My father had roast beef sandwich. My mother had potato soup. And I don't remember what I had. As we continued on our journey, we got to see some amazing things. The water along the streets, I had to pull over and get pictures. The beautiful colors again, standing right in front of our face. We are now on our way to Vermont to see what we can find. But we found a little roadside park that had a great little wooden bridge, so we thought we'd take another photo op and just enjoy the time together. This place is called Mount Washington Resort. It is absolutely stunning. We drove a little bit closer, but they wouldn't let us get too close. As we journeyed from the rocky shores of Maine towards the rolling hills of Vermont, the world outside our window looked like a painting brush with God's own hand. The trees blazed with the colors of fall, golds, reds, and fiery oranges, standing proudly against the deep blue sky. Every turn of the road felt like stepping deeper into the story of peace and gratitude. We set our hearts on visiting an apple orchard along the way. Our road led us then to the Von Trapp family lodge in Stowe, Vermont, a place rich with music, faith, and the feeling of home. As it stood there majestically, you couldn't help but think of the Von Trapp family and what they were going through to finally make it to safety. It was there that we placed our third Texas rock, marking another stop in our family's growing tradition of leaving a little piece of home wherever we go. As the day came to a close and the mountains began to fade into evening, I couldn't help but feel thankful for the road beneath us, the love beside us, and the memories we're gathering 1 mile at a time. As we began our next day's journey, we found ourselves headed towards upper state New York. We found some beautiful wild turkeys walking down the side roads, and I've worn my parents slap out. They definitely needed a break. Now we have found ourselves at Niagara Falls, New York. We didn't realize how far of a walk it would be, but we were still able to see the falls from the distance. However, from what we've gathered, the prettier side is the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. It was dark when we got there, but we wanted to see one of the Great Lakes, so we saw Lake Erie. When I look back on our journey, from the moment we pulled out of Atlanta to the day we rolled back home, I can only call it what it truly was, a blessing. We traveled more than 4,000 miles through 16 states, across rolling hills, quiet valleys, painted forests. We saw God's handiwork in the colors of Tennessee, in the old churches of Maine, and in the wide, endless sea that reminded us how small we really are and how mighty His love is. But more than the places, it was the people beside me who made it sacred. Time with my mom and dad, laughter shared over coffee, memories whispered between miles, and quiet moments that words could never hold. Those days were a gift I'll carry for the rest of my life. Standing by the ocean in Maine, I realized that every journey is really a prayer, not for where we're going, but for the hearts that we take with us. I am so thankful to God for guiding us safely there and home again. Thankful for the laughter, the lessons, and the love that never left us once along the way. And tonight, my heart is still praying that my father's strength returns quickly, that healing finds him where he is, and that we'll soon be sitting together again, sharing stories about this trip that meant so much to us all. So if you're listening to this, let me offer a bit of advice. Don't wait to make memories. Don't wait for someday. Pack your bags, take the drive, hold your people close, and thank God for every mile. Because the greater journeys aren't marked on maps.
Mom, Dad?
They're written in the heart.
Daddy, turn around.
Good night, Mom. Good night,
Nothing,
Dad.
turn around.
Good night, Maine.
Cover up, there you go.
And thank you, Lord, for the journey.
Little pigeons on the fence.
What's it? I guess that's a gobbler hanging around their neck. Looks like a identification thing.